Who would be?
What?
Sabrina? No.
The Fever president just got exposed on live TV, and Sophie Cunningham didn't hold back. Her words hit harder than anyone expected, and now the front office is scrambling.
Oh, this game is boring. It's not good basketball. Then all of a sudden, everything got spicy. Everything got negative. We need to talk about it. You guys, this is my live reaction.
When the Fever president was made public on live television, Sophie Cunningham didn't hold back. Her comments had a greater effect than anyone could have predicted, and the front desk is already in disarray.
But when people try to argue that she's not the face of our league,
Yeah.
or if our league would be where we're at without her, you're dumb as shit.
Yeah.
You're literally dumb as fuck.
You guys played at Iowa.
But this isn't just one viral incident. It's a full-fledged reckoning, from questionable silences to an unanticipated cultural catastrophe. I have the receipts, the consequences, and all the nasty facts. If you appreciate this content, consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. Believe it or not, more than 83% of viewers haven't subscribed yet. It's free and only takes a second, but it means the world to us. So, did you subscribe already? Great. Thank you so much for your support. Now, back to the video.
I got her, but at the very end, and I'm not saying this is what caused it, but she dipped a little bit.
Yeah.
But she did dip. And then right when I saw, I was like, oh shit, like my bad. Not really my bad. And then they both came at me. I was like, fuck it, come.
Did you get fined for that?
Yeah, like $900,
Oh.
which like our fines are a joke.
The coolest part about that fight is that your face.
I didn't care.
It was supposed to be a typical post-game. No drama, no attention, just another microphone, another player, another wrap-up. But in less than 15 seconds, Sophie Cunningham stepped in and disclosed everything. If you don't think Caitlin Clark is the league's face, you're a stupid. It was more than a single-line quotation. It was a rhetorical blast. No filter, no cushion, just detonation. Suddenly, the WNBA was doing more than just basketball. There was a civil war going on at the time. After all, this was not an opinion. It was challenging. An obvious barb at the veterans who have shunned Clark from the start. A kick to the CEOs who are hiding behind PR remarks and corporate silence. And in the middle of a league that was already collapsing under pressure, a warning sign emerged. In just a few minutes, the internet exploded. On TikTok, videos with action movie cuts are quite popular. Thanks to Twitter threads, Sophie turned into a vigilante. Instagram was flooded with memes, reels, and homage posts. They called her the enforcer, the bodyguard, and the last true survivor. However, no one is talking about this part. It didn't have a soundbite. It felt like the unadulterated truth coming from someone who has had enough of the fake smiles and false respect. Cunningham wasn't just standing by Clark. She was going into the fire with her. The Fever's main desk was once again silent. Because Sophie spoke like a warrior as Indiana's leadership went into a PR frenzy after seeing one of their own initiate a rebellion in real time. They also didn't have a plan for the future. But first, please click like if what Sophie just said has already infuriated you. The league will find it harder to ignore this the more we talk about it. Let's make some noise.
I believe people are doing this. Two Caitlin Clark teammates weren't jumping in there. They bring in Sophie Cunningham. I had no idea. Sophie Cunningham was a black belt at the age of 6.
Yeah.
Yep.
Boom!
Wow.
JC Sheldon, that's cute. You want to poke her in the eye, then push her into a boom Mabry thing? Go ahead. I'll take a take foul, and you'll eat the deck a little bit here. And then we'll get out. I love it. I know people aren't going to like this. I like the Connecticut team doing what they did as well.
San Francisco tomorrow. You're on the Las Vegas Strip. What can the Las Vegas expect from Sophie?
Oh, you know what? I'm just gonna be me. I don't go in there trying to predetermine anything. I'm dialed in. I need to focus on hitting my shots, making sure I'm executing the schemes right. I'm not focused on the extracurricular activities. And you know what? During that, it was just part of the game. I think the refs had a lot to do with that. It was a build up for a couple of years now of them just not protecting, the star player of the WNBA. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do. And I'm a team player. So
you know what time it is. Everyone does. Indiana versus Connecticut. Caitlin Clark has had another setback. This time, from JCS Sheldon. This is not the first time it has happened. It won't be the last one. But what happened next? That's when everything changed. Sophie Cunningham acted without waiting for a whistle. She became one. He barged in, grabbed Sheldon, and threw her, like a linebacker sick of being courteous. No thrust was present. It was a proclamation. The audience froze as commentators faltered. The referees penalized her $900. Sophie laughed too. She reportedly said, "That's it," as though it were the price of coming of age. In an instant, the moment went viral. Slow-motion replays surfaced on Twitter before the sweat even touched the court. Every caption had the same message, "Protect the Queen." The highlight reel, however, did not fully convey the story. It happened later. In the locker room, Caitlin turned to Sophie and said, "Finally." Not "thank you," not "wow," just "finally." That was the voice of exhaustion. Months of silence, elbows, and bruises came to an end with that. Sophie just looked her in the eye and said, "I got you." No cameras, no PR filters, just two players focusing on something real. At that time, it was no longer about basketball. Clark was no longer just an observer. She became a symbol. Sophie was more than simply a teammate, too. She turned into a rallying cry. That one act of disobedience drove the Fever into a line in the sand. Collaboration or solidarity. After a hit like that and a response like Sophie's, it was hard to go back to business as usual, thus the majority chose togetherness. The battleground had been sketched, and the message was quite obvious. Keep your distance or stand up for one another.
But when it is a simple call right in front of your face multiple times, what are you?
Behind the scenes, the temperature was rising. Sophie Cunningham did not toss JCS Sheldon at random. She had been witnessing the slow burn for months. It wasn't paranoia. It was the recognition of patterns. The league's clandestine attempts to dehumanize Caitlin Clark were not the result of an online conspiracy. Nearly everyone was aware of it. Side-eye from the sidelines. Late bumps follow the whistle. There were smirks on the bench and cautious comments on the buses. It is not something she deserves. She's not ready for interpretation. Destroy her before she achieves success. Sophie, however, captured every moment. She maintained mental receipts while the rest of the league played dumb. But all came to an end when Clark was leveled for the sixth time in one game. When the match and fuse came into contact, the explosion was inevitable. She didn't react carelessly. It was just. And when the footage went back to the Fever locker room, something was different. The days of pretending are finished. Ignoring the punches is over. The players were watching Sophie when one of them eventually stood up and said, "Enough." The excitement immediately spread. Suddenly, neutrality was out of the question. Clark or the stillness were with you. Quiet also had a face. The Fever president vanished when her star was attacked. Buzzwords masked corporate timidity, no support, no declarations. Meanwhile, Sophie was taking action in the trenches that the leadership had refused to take. They watched the team as well. Because when the storm returns, they won't be pursuing the person in the press box. They are traveling with a person who has shown that she is capable of fighting.
You guys, you can hear it in the video right here. The Indiana Fever fans were chanting, "Sophie, Sophie." Sophie's jersey is going to sell out tonight. She's going to be in the All-Star game tonight just from this one play because she was standing on business. It wasn't a dirty play. It was an intentional foul, and it was meant to send a message. And how egregious the referees were and how they were not protecting players. And they especially weren't protecting the #1 player in this league, the biggest draw in this league, which is...
Riding the Caitlin Clark championship wave like it's their last shot to survive has helped the WNBA make headlines, increase viewership, and improve retail sales. But when it came to really defending herself on the court, Sophie Cunningham was not going to put up with that double standard, not even a hint from higher management. She went scorched earth, heading straight for the league suits with a flamethrower full of receipts. Wearing a gorgeous attire, she hypocritically insulted the referees. If that were me, I would be kicked out. But Caitlin received no help, no complaint, and terrible justice. Then she used a blowtorch to face the league's executives. Despite the fact that they profit off her, They will not stand up for her. Those remarks were radioactive in addition to being heated. On the internet, the video became very popular. T-shirts were printed by them. There were protest placards all over the courtside rows. Sophie's tirade didn't feel like an interview. It resembled a manifesto. A call to action for all the supporters who had been watching the hits pile up without any consequences. Suddenly, Cunningham was more than just a player. She was the league's most dangerous truth-teller. Meanwhile, the feverish president vanished. The social media dark press team is absent. No quotes, no defense, just silence. During that period of silence, the league's standing started to decline. Because the WNBA failed to protect its star and was profiting from the disturbance. It wasn't simply bad officiating that Sophie highlighted. She disclosed a system that relied on Clark's focus while letting her work in the background. This was not a mistake in public relations. It was the whole fucking scheme. And Cunningham's one viral mic drop put the league in a precarious position. Either defend your stars or acknowledge that you're using them. A middle ground is no longer possible.
Shout out to the Indiana Fever fans because you guys came in so strong and were doing exactly what fans need to do. They were booing these players every time they touched the ball. They were getting active. They were getting after it. I'm surprised the WNBA hasn't launched an investigation yet, honestly. But the Connecticut Sun started to get embarrassed, and that is not a good place to be. That's actually a dangerous place to be when you're on the court. And so I was worried that things are going to get even more physical because when a team feels like they have nothing to lose, sometimes they start to get dirty, they start to get extra physical. And this is not only something that happens.
Yes, the supporters were unaware. After seeing every push, every call, and every instance of league silence, they had had enough of being courteous. Sophie lit the match, and the fan base supplied the petrol. These were not your typical WNBA fans sipping tea in the rafters. These were Clark stans, YouTube reactors, TikTok warriors, and Twitter parents who saw their daughter being abused while the league did nothing but sell shirts. The uprising had a face all of a sudden. Sophie Cunningham, the enforcer, the truth-teller, the one who didn't wait for PR approval. TikToks fell like confetti, with slow-motion shots of Clark's bruises and captions such as, "She's getting mauled and they call it defense." Gladiator music plays throughout Sophie's outburst. One young person posted on social media, "I've never watched a WNBA game before, but I'd go to war for Sophie." In just 48 hours, her fan base grew from 200,000 to over 1 million. The jerseys were completely sold out. Parents were posting heartfelt notes. Even middle school girls were mimicking Sophie during rehearsal. It wasn't marketing. Something moved. And the league continued to be stuck on the same buffering screen. They said some standard commercial cliches, such as league conduct and respect for rivals. Nothing human, nothing intimate, not a word about Caitlin Clark. Since it was now more than just missed calls, the rage broke out at that point. It was about a moment of betrayal, a player, and a fan base. Sophie wasn't done either. If you don't stand up for her, you're alienating the same individuals that are attempting to preserve your league. Boom. The best line of the century. Shouts outside of stadiums, banners, and t-shirts all included it. Because the WNBA ignored its star and insulted their entire future. In contrast, the admirers were willing to give up their girl, their money, and their allegiance. Pause for a moment. Do you think Sophie is the only one willing to question the system? Write a comment for the next WNBA player you think will lose it. The fire is just getting started. This was no longer just about Caitlin Clark. Sophie Cunningham tossed more than one match. The whole system lit up as she got to her feet because she wasn't just defending Clark. Behind the curtain, she was exposing something horrible. A league that desired attention eventually got it, and then freaked out when it came to wearing Clark jerseys and demanding change. Let's be truthful. Sophie exposed the animosity, envy, and narrow-minded gatekeeping of vets who act as though it's all part of their profession. No, it wasn't hazing. It was sabotage. The whispers was practically audible. It wasn't fair to her. She's just another white lady with a lot of hype. She stayed out of the fight. No, she brought in the ratings, packed the stadiums, and made your paychecks meaningful. And instead of enjoying that, other players made it a hit job. That's not how sisterhood works. That is self-destruction. The quote that clarified everything was then said by Sophie. This is what we've always wanted. Why are we angry that it's finally happening? It wasn't just a mic drop. No one in a position of power has the guts to say that. Because the system was built to grind and survive rather than to thrive. So when the spotlight eventually turned on, it froze. The Fever's president resigned. The league said nothing. Fans were waiting for Sophie's voice without realizing it. She wasn't trying to be the hero. But when no one else spoke, she developed into something more. A line in the sand, a walking uprising in a high ponytail, the first to swing with purpose. While the league languished in PR limbo, Sophie Cunningham just said the truth, appending the entire system. Despite not asking for it, Sophie came into the spotlight with facts, fire, and fury. The league now has a choice. Modify or burn. Caitlin Clark brought the crowd, but Sophie Cunningham brought the war. The story is far from over. To ensure you don't miss anything, please leave your opinions in the comments box, subscribe, and turn on all notifications. Once you click the video on the screen, we'll see you in the next one. Please share your thoughts in the comments section, subscribe, and enable all notifications so you don't miss anything. We'll see you in the next one after you click the video on the screen.